A warm welcome to all participants who have joined us today for this masterclass. At SCAI, we remain deeply committed to fostering the growth and evolution of the shopping center industry in India. A key pillar of this commitment is enabling meaningful knowledge sharing among industry professionals. Our aim is to keep the community informed, inspired, and aligned with global best practices adopted by leading shopping centers across the world. As part of this ongoing effort, we host regular webinars and masterclasses designed to enhance operational excellence, strategic thinking, and customer engagement. These sessions bring together experienced industry leaders who generously share their perspectives, insights, and real-world learnings. Today's webinar focuses on a highly relevant and transformative theme, the experience economy, turning malls into destinations. In an era where consumers seek more than just transactions, malls are rapidly evolving into vibrant lifestyle hubs. Spaces that blend retail, entertainment, dining, and community engagement. Creating a memorable experience is no longer optional. It is essential for driving footfall, increasing dwell time, and building long-term customer loyalty. We are delighted to have an esteemed panel of industry leaders with us today. Amrit Gopinath, Chief Marketing Officer, DLF Malls; Nishank Joshi, Chief Marketing Officer, Nexus Select Malls; Rahul Malhotra, Head Marketing Retail, Brigade Group; and Aditya Desai, Vice President Marketing, Lakeshore, India. So before I hand over it to Amrit shall be moderating the session. Dear attendees, we invite you to share your questions in the chat. These will be addressed during the Q&A session at the end. So over to Amrit. All yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Sanjeev. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yeah, clear.
Great. So thanks for the introduction, and I think it's an interesting, topic of discussion for today, which is the experience economy turning for just retail spaces. And I've said this before. I think they're akin to time platforms. We in the earlier days we used to compete for share of wallet. If you remember from our old marketing days. Now we're competing for share of time. Malls are actually competing with platforms like Netflix, Insta, or your sofa in the living room. I think we are essentially asking the customer to spend time in our malls versus time against all of these platforms. So our job as marketers has kind of evolved over time, and the equation earlier, maybe a few years ago, was quite simple. It used to be. Now the equation is much more complex, and there are infinite variables to help us do a successful business. And because the equation is so complex, I've got a bunch of learned people over here to help me decode that complex equation and try to bring some method into the madness, because always it looks like marketing is spending a lot of money and we're doing a lot of things, but how is that kind of translating into that big picture? So let's dive in. I'm going to start this off by let's address the topic. Let's define the topic. The experience economy. What is the experience economy in the context of malls? I'm going to first ask Nishank to kick things off, and then I'll go to Rahul and Aditya. And
so I've lost Amrit. Is everybody?
I think there are some lags in between,
okay.
but yeah.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sky, for getting me on the panel. And by the way, we should ask even Amrit what he thinks about it, because he himself is a CMO. So Amrit, if you think you're going to beg out of this without we having your views, that's not going to be possible, right? I think experience now, obviously it's becoming more and more important. And the reason is because, like you said, Netflix, be it OTT, be it the fact that most of the people or consumers who come to the mall are now so well traveled across the world. What they're, and when I say across the world, not just Dubai and the shopping centers that it has, but everywhere, right? So when malls in India are now competing with time to spend or dwell time with every other medium that there is. So whether it be TV, whether it be cinema, whether it be a location outside. And I think that's where the whole beauty lies. And therefore experiences now, just to get people, consumers, to come to your mall again and again, it is going to become more and more important. It already is. But what's more important to me is the relevance of it. And I'll tell you why I say this. We did, at Nexus, we just hosted a World Series boxing event recently at Nexus Seawoods. Mary Com was there, it was widely shared on social media, all of that. It was great. What it got me thinking was, many years ago, in fact in 2011, at In Orbit Malad, I had done a full World Series boxing event in the parking lot of the mall, where the SCAIs had built a full-on stadium of 1,000 people. So what we did in 2011 is still relevant today. I think what's important is the packaging. What's important is the social media that goes around it. What's important is the virality. And what's important is how relevant can you make each experience. So whether it is this, whether it is immersive experiences, and you guys have done a ton of work with Vango, etc., just like we've done, big installations. So you have to bring all of it together. But I think relevance of these experiences for the people who are coming, for the people of the city, so that they come to the mall. No longer are you happy with people coming to your mall once. I mean, big centers which are 1 million square feet now get 1 million plus people. The city themselves has around 1 million plus people, which means you're looking at them coming 3 times, 4 times, 5 times to your mall. And that will only be possible if great experiences drive them to come to your mall.
Awesome. Thanks, Nishank. And don't worry, I'm not going to get away from answering the questions. I will. The benefit of being a moderator, you've just taken away that advantage. But I'm going to now go across to Rahul. I think Nishank talked about the fact that he's got the same kind of events that are relevant even today. And I think relevance is what he possibly takes out as his key point. What according to you is the experience economy in the context of your malls?
The experience is way evolving the way back. If you go back 20 years back, the experience was something different than now it's different. If I go back to the era of say 20 years back, when the mall was evolving and just started in the country, the experience was something very minimalistic, like the bare minimum services, the small activities. Now it's evolved over the last 2 decades. Now experience is different to different people. Where the most marketeer in the malls goes wrong, they focus on one typical genre or style of activity, but we sometimes being a marketeer fail to understand the dynamic of our RTG. Example, if you're marketing a product of say Gen Z, we can focus on only Gen Z and a youth, on a young generation. When we're talking about mall is very diversified community center, where we draw people of all age group, interest, and their needs. So we need to understand experience will be different to different people, and we should have diversified marketing activities throughout the year, so that it have interest of all the people, so that all the genre, all the kinds of brand can get easily right TG. And our duty, our responsibility of being a marketer of the mall can be easily used and implemented, so that mall flourish. So in nutshell, experience is way difficult to define in one single webinar. It's way bigger than what we think of.
Okay, great. I think I agree with you. I think it's very difficult to nail it down in one definition. But I like what you said about the TG and making sure that who you are attracting is what you're trying to create the experience for. I think that's a very important point. I'm going to go to Aditya now. Aditya, what in your view is, or what in your experience is the experience economy in the context of your malls?
Right. So in my opinion, right, I mean, look at it traditionally, a mall was always seen as the place to go shop, eat, and a source of entertainment, right? But I think today, with the ever-changing times, right, consumers are looking at not just that, but what's the new form of discovery, engagement, socializing? How do you create mall as the best third place to be over and above your home and your workplace, right? So, and as long as you know your fundamentals of reaching out to consumers and ensuring that they're loyal to you, the basics and fundamentals don't change over a period of time. You know, how do you create top of mind imagery continues to be a very important factor. How do you continue drawing them in, right? But I think what's important, and slightly taking a cue from what Nishank also said earlier, right? I think the focus a lot of malls, put efforts and focus on right now is how do you get new consumer in. But I think repeat visitation, I think is should be the ultimate objective, because the minute you sort of ensure that your consumer, no matter what changes in their ecosystem, continues to come to your asset, right? Which means that you've set a certain loyalty, and that loyalty sort of builds in over a period of time, which means that no matter what's happening elsewhere, right, I will keep coming to your space. So I think repeat visitation, higher dwell time is important. At the same time, I feel experiences are also changing. But I also have another contrasting view to that, to say that, you know, while experiences are changing, right, the things that really work, you know, whether it's an idea being relevant, things that worked 10 years ago are also working today. So it's not to overcomplicate their journey and to ensure that you stick to your basics. But yes, the experiential part and how do you constantly engage with them, right? And create that need is critical in my view.
Thanks, Adi. I got most of what you said, and I think I love this, place where you said you're trying to make it the third place, and I think that's probably a lot of our efforts today is to kind of make the mall the third place and make it a place why people want to come repeated after time. I think that's pretty important. From my perspective, I'm going to give you some stats now, because as part of the moderated job, I thought it would be interesting to kind of bring some data into the picture. So the global experiential marketing spend for 2025 was about 128 billion, which is a big number in absolute. But what it also says is that about 35% of marketing spends are in the experience domain. And out of the survey of the Fortune 1000 companies, 74% of those companies are going to increase their spends in experiences and experiential marketing over the next few years. So it shows that we're not barking up the wrong tree. We're kind of going in the right direction. That's where the world is going towards. That's where the spends are being diverted, and I think that's where the economy is going towards. I think for me personally at DLF malls, it's for me the experience economy is essentially being in a mall gives you a privilege of the mall becoming almost like a theater of dreams, where you're able to make the mall or shape it into the experience that you want to deliver to the consumer. So for instance, a mall could be a sports arena where you could do a wellness or a fitness event. It could be an art gallery where you're showcasing art. It could be a pet lovers meeting point. It could be a book exhibition. It could be a concert area. It could be a kitchen masterclass, etc. So it's a privilege for us as marketers to kind of have that lever at our disposal, where we are able to curate things which are which address so many TGs. So for me, that experience economy is basically all these levers that kind of fall into it.
I totally agree, man. One of my favorite stats that I give in my board meets is for last year, we did 720 days of eventing in a 365-day calendar, right? So, and I love to say that stat, and that just shows how much time we are spending. It's almost at the bigger malls, there are 2 events happening on the same day. And you're right, something that Rahul said, something that you said, that because we are catering to different TGs, it really gives us the opportunity to do everything, just about everything that there is. And which is why it makes it more and more tough now to keep reinventing ourselves or keep innovating with ideas that haven't been done before.
I agree. Nishank, I'm going to stay with you on that and say that, okay, if you're doing 720 events, how many times have you been asked? Have you been asked 720 times? What is the ROI that you have been able to generate?
No, that is 1,000 times. No, that's 1,000 times.
To get to the 720.
Correct. That's how you plan for 1,000 events, 300 get cancelled, and you manage to do 700 of them. No man, ROI is now everything, right? Especially once you become listed and all of, or you are backed by a private equity company, like a few of us are. I think ROI is everything. And ROI could mean 1,000 things. It could mean how much sponsorship you're getting for a concert that we are doing, or how much revenue we're getting out of ticketed events. The other thing is that we barely have monies, but our dreams are becoming larger as marketers, right? We've been in the industry, almost all of us have been in the industry for such a long time. So we want to do bigger things. Our budgets have not increased significantly. Obviously, they have increased, but also have expenses. So we've got loyalty now. We've got AI coming in. We've got retainers. So many things, which means that the share of the pie has remained the same. We're not spending more for an experiential event. We're pretty much spending the same, but we want to get a lot out of it. What that means is, one, we need to, at least in our company, we need to sustain bringing out those bigger events again and again. Also, what do I get out of it? Because eventually we are here to serve the retailers. So we've got the consumers on one side and we've got the retailers on the other. So ROI could mean footfalls, ROI could mean sales, ROI could mean how efficiently I'm running my eventing so that I can do the next big one again, rather than saying, okay, I'm done with these 3 because I want to do 20 in a year. It also means how much virality I'm getting on social media, how much is the reach, right? It's very easy to say that, this one is a brand event, this one is a footfall-led event. It's not true. I think all our events are consumption-led events, and that's what I tell my marketing team, that everything that we do is A, for footfalls, B, for dwell time, 3, so that people can come and buy. So everything that we do, everything, and I mean it, everything that we do has got, obviously there's an experience at the center of it, but it's got ROI written all over it in bold, big terms.
Cool. Thank you. Can you hear me, guys? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Maybe my video is freezing, but okay. So
you're like Buddha right now, man. You're like Buddha now.
I'll need to switch off my camera. All right. So Aditya, what are the kind of, if you stay with the same ROI question and not going into how many times you've been asked about the ROI, what are the
Aditya is never asked about ROI.
No, it's not.
We all know Ashwin.
It's always been on what is the consumer engagement matrix that we are looking at. ROI, obviously, I mean, now we've been in this entire journey for quite some time, and we are now at 6 malls, still growing. We are a challenger brand. But having said that, right, ROI does come into picture in terms of when you're looking at a certain spend or a budget for the year, what is the nature and the type of the experience you want to curate is the primary objective. Following that, what are the potential ROI factors you need to consider becomes another matrix, right? So let's just say foot traffic obviously becomes the most evident, but in terms of, whether it's, ticketing revenues, whether it's what is the cost of acquisition, that currently, especially in our system, is a very, very important factor. What are the kind of efforts that we need to take also? So let's just say that, you've got, let's just say you're playing with 100, 150 odd experiences in a quarter. What is the effort you need to put in, not just in terms of cost, but also time to get in those number of people, right? So the focus has to be, and like I said, right, a challenger brand has to undergo, multiple levels of ups and downs. There are a lot of things that work, a lot of things that don't work, but I think it's a very good situation to be in. Because when you're looking at the top players, you're more or less looking at sustaining, but here you sort of have the leeway of trying out new things and to figure out whether this potentially can be taken across assets, right? So, but the eventual outcome of ROI beyond the foot traffic, cost of acquisition, the objective still where Lakeshore is concerned is that how can experience become the reason to visit, where retail becomes the outcome. I think that's what we constantly look towards. You give them a reason to come, and obviously retail will benefit because your dwell time also increases and all of that. Obviously, it's got to do with the brand mix, etc. But you've got to give them a reason to visit, and that's where sort of marketing, at least at Lakeshore, is looking at.
No, everywhere, Adi, because marketing is the only cog in the wheel, or is the only piece of the puzzle where we can change, right? In a mall,
absolutely,
everything is constant. So your stores are constant. The kind of services that you give or which are given
Right.
They can't change often. I mean, they
They
can
can't
change only once every 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is. You can change
Right.
every year, but they can't change every month, every 15 days. So marketing is the only one function that has the ability to change like a chameleon
change.
and offer something different every single time that the consumer comes. So that's an
True.
advantage that we have. And like Amrit put it really well, that it's a privilege to be in a mall where we can do everything. We
Yeah.
can do whatever we want to be, right? So bang on in terms of giving them
I
a
think that's a
reason,
good point,
but
Nishank.
eventually come and shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe Rahul, you can just kind of weigh in here on in terms of the ROI. What do you think?
That's my favorite
something
line,
that you
which Nishank just mentioned. Yeah, he rightly said, mall is the marketing is the only gamut in the entire system where we can bring freshness to the mall on every single visit. Because at the end, our 60% of the people are repeat visitor. Only 40% travel from a long distance. Could be I don't know how much percentage in each mall, but I can tell you about my mall. Almost 60% of people are repeat visitor. I have not seen any visitor who is visiting for the first time. So ROI become very important, but at the same time, rightly said by Aditya, see, ROI is a product, and knowing the effectiveness of the marketing, whether it is belongs to example footfall increased, whether it is belongs to a marketing gimmick or a activity by marketing or not, it's a gray line. Sometimes footfall get increased because of the few launches by the property, or could be the good movies, good content, or could be the other factors around the city. Example, we have a ISKCON temple nearby. Sometimes we see surge of footfall coming to the our mall, keeping in mind the religious activity around the date. So we sometimes we may take a credit that the footfall is increased because of the mall activity. But having said that, if I say ROI, it remains same. The footfall, the top line, the bottom line, the consumption at the center. But what I noticed over the last 5 years, especially post COVID, I have reduced my marketing spend in terms of the print ads, radio, and outdoor hoarding. What I notice, if you can live with the subconscious mind of your TG, I think probably you are game. So I always believe, let's give a relevant experience to the each event, so that whenever, example, a customer, say name is Sonu, would like to think of shopping spree, immediately his mindset said, I want to go to Orion Mall. If I have Sonu into 1 lakh, then I'm game. Why? They will follow me, they will chase me, they will know, okay, today they might not follow my Instagram page or social media pages, but when they want to plan the activity of going to the mall, they will think of me and they will come to us without me spending single rupees on customer acquisition. It's free of free. And
Nice,
then
Rahul.
same goes for my events. I don't have to spend heavily on the marketing. I can spend the same amount of money on the content.
Yeah, good. I think what Rahul probably touched upon is something even I struggle with, which is to drive or to measure what is the KPI related specifically to that event, because there's so many ancillary factors that happen. While Aditya mentioned it, yes, you have ticket sales and you have specific events where you can measure this thing. Generally, we're not doing events for the sake of events or experiences for the sake of experience. It's for the halo effect that comes into our mall later, and it's very difficult to measure that. Like Rahul said, there might be an ISKCON event that has led to the footfalls which coincided with the same time.
He also said that we are responsible for ISKCON's footfalls. Very carefully he said, I'm taking credit for it. The guy is doing some super barter over there, man. We need to get it. Religious barter is something that we need to get into now.
Not only that, Nishank,
You don't believe. You nailed it. We have tie-up with them.
Rahul is now getting into the subconscious of this thing. He's saying, forget ATL, BTL. Now I'm getting right into the subconscious.
That's why I raised my hand. I didn't want to interrupt, but I raised my hand to say, I hope no CEO is of the group right now. I am not reducing any costs.
I gauged the subconscious mind of Nishank already.
Say that again, Rahul.
I gained the subconscious mind of Nishank already.
Nishank wants to spend 2x. All CMOs in favor, please raise your hands.
Yeah, all of us, even the ones who are not there, will raise their hands.
Yeah, I want to meet this Sonu customer whose subconscious Rahul has penetrated very well.
Into 1 lakh.
All right, cool. So we've got the ROI bit. I mean, it's obviously still an open challenge for me. As personally, I still don't believe we've cracked it. It's difficult to pinpoint ROI. But we're getting there. We're getting
You
better
guys
at-
do such large events, man. I mean, you guys, you have the wedding fest and all of that, right? I mean, you guys do. How do you measure ROIs on that? Or is it something that it's like for tomorrow, in the sense that it's for what we are, or it is for what we are going to become? It's for the experience that we are giving. How do you measure ROIs on that?
See, I mean, I think we've touched upon it. It's difficult to measure it during the period of the event because you always feel there's a lag effect which leads to long-term brand equity. But for a wedding tales or for a large-scale event, we identify certain categories which we believe will be impacted. For wedding tales, it could be Indian ethnic, fashion, etc. And we take the pre and the post. We say that, okay, last year, this time, or the month before, what was the kind of category TD, and therefore, during that event, what TD
really
happened.
Gorgeous events, by the way. It was all a compliment. I was just saying it's beautiful.
Thank you. Which also actually got me thinking about, because there seems to be, like you said, while there is a privilege that we can do a lot of such events, it also becomes a pain when people kept saying, "Arey, kuch karo yaar, kuch exciting, let's do something." Kuch karo yaar.
Especially when things go down. When you do wedding event, your F&B will say, "हमारे लिए कुछ नहीं किया." So it keep happening all across the malls,
Yeah, that's correct. But I mean, 720 events is crazy, Nishank. I don't know how you even putting a deck together on these events will be like a challenge.
It's fun.
On it, but I have tried to now. I mean, while there is obviously a penchant for doing these events, I feel that this principle of less is more is what I've told the team now. I mean, you can get lost in a sea of events and you'll be just living one event to the other. But how much impact have you really done
is what we are trying. To be honest, it is an effort that we make every year that let's reduce the number of events. But it's just that sometimes you need to do two because something will be done by a retailer and you have a concurrent event going on. So it doesn't happen all the time, but it's just inevitable. Also, what happens is the nature of the events or the location of them. So if you would have a concert which is happening outside, but it is along with some other event that's happening in the mall, which is a category-led event, which might be specifically for sales during that, and you have those kind of things happening together for a reason, that you shop in the morning and then you come in the evening to the concert. So these are done deliberately. They're not necessarily two events of the same style or for the same audience that are happening. They're two happening at different times of the day, two very specific different audiences. One would have a gestation of only 3 hours or 4 hours or a 2 hour stand up, and one might be a longer one that will go on for 4 or 5 days. But you cannot call the concert to be a part of that event. Doesn't make any sense. So that's how it becomes 720. But it is tough. I'll tell you what's tough though. The tough bit is to communicate to the audience, to the right audience, that these are happening. That is the tougher part, right?
I agree.
And you've got only one social media page and you've got only that much of advertising that you can do. I think and you've really hit it right by saying that less is more, because when less is more, you get enough time to communicate to the audiences.
Fully agree.
I completely agree with you, but that's why you've got book my shows and all that for a ticketed event. So you hope that you've got your 3,000, 4,000, 7,000, whatever number that you're hoping for through that channel, and then the regular channels where you're doing your eventing. But I completely agree. It's something that we are trying. Less is more. Reduce the number of eventing. At least concurrent events in the same space. It could be two very different spaces and then two very different audiences.
Also, I think Nishank, when you have so many malls, right? The entire expectation and the habit setting that happens in the system is also like, oh, you know what? So many things work. आपने 100 events किए, यहाँ पे चलो 100 आप यहाँ करो, and then that sort of gets multiplied across the number of assets.
And the 25 that didn't work also.
25 that becomes your opening slide, and then but that becomes the expectation also, right? Yeah. So I mean, as long as you're sort of gradually changing that habit and that expectation to say that it has to at some point. Somewhere it's got to all consolidate and not just spread.
Also, the fact is that if you're looking to get larger experiences into the mall, so you've got immersives and all of that happening, and I know DLF does its bit of really great immersive experiences. You guys do a lot of these installation basic experiences. I know that at Arya and all of that. I think the more larger the events will get, automatically the smaller events will disappear.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And because you spend more time in communicating that, say 10-15 days
Investment
advance,
also goes in that.
the investment
cost.
goes up, so even your focus goes there. So I think as the experiences get larger, as the KPIs around them get stronger and sharper, automatically the eventing around it or the smaller events around it will start to reduce.
True,
I think it's interdependent.
Yeah, agree. When I used to work on the brand side of it, there was always this equation or this particular math we used to do, that if you spend X on content creation, you have to spend 4X on amplification of that content.
Correct.
Right.
Which is
Totally.
the equation we don't do over here.
And now you put the fact that you have an experience, then you're creating content around it, and now you have to spend money to
promote it.
to promote the content along with for the experience they're doing. So it's 1, 2, 3, and all of them is related.
Yeah, I know. So you end up spending much more on the event, but rather than the amplification, while it should be the other way around.
No, in fact, that's where, sorry, Amrit, the unfortunate part comes in that, marketing spend is not just marketing spend, you know what I mean? You've got a curation cost, you've got your communication expenditure, you've got your media expenses, right? It all culminates into a marketing this thing. So you've got to break it down as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. So maybe it's good to segue into the discussion that I think some of you touched upon it. Yes, there is primarily events and experiences are for the consumer, but there is a huge stakeholder called the retailer for which we are responsible for, and he's the reason, or she's the reason we are all there, in the malls. So open question to any of you: how do you drive retailer participation in these experiences? Do you think brands or brands are akin to these mall-led experiences? Are they happy with these kind of things? What's your experience been with your retailers?
I can go in first if you want.
Yeah, please.
So we've started this year. What we did is we have done a number of CAM exercises, which is your key account management exercises, where we've gone to their offices and spent considerable time in understanding what is it that they would want us to do, where is it that they would like to partner. And what I have seen is a significant change in the manner of how they want us to do events. Earlier, a lot of them, and I say a lot of them, used to say that ye events bade wale mat karo, concerts mat karo. But as they have started to shift to a younger audience, and by younger I don't mean necessarily younger in age, I mean younger even by thought. So you've got a 45-year-old or 50-year-old who wants to ape or have the same culture as a 30-year-old or 25-year-old, and that's what I mean by saying younger. So they are now okay with us doing all of that, but they do want participation. So they are very happy to come in as clothing partners, etc. The second thing that we do very well is IPs. And IPs is where and I think all of us have now taken to it. So all of us have a sneaker fest going on, and denim fest going on, and all of that, beauty, etc. And which is where you've got these focused retail partners coming in and doing masterclasses and things like that. In fact, how do we build some great work around sneaker fest? When you have hip hop battles, we've got rap battles, we've got basketball matches happening depending on the size of the malls. So you build in the experience along with the retailer in the mall to do it. Can it be better? Of course. Do they expect more? 100% they do. But is it better than what it was 3 years ago? I think it is. What can be better also is that they still don't know, because they are we are talking to them at the mall level, we are talking to them at the regional level, and then they've got an HO level. I think a lot of the eventing, a lot of the experiences that all of us do, whether it is your group or Aditya's group or Rahul's group, I think a lot of it is still getting missed at the HO level with retail partners. I think if we get the dialogue going, and that's the feedback that I got, that you know what, so many a times we had there are so many IPs where we work with the brands at the mall level, and the HO doesn't know about it. It's like, acha, we did this, but we could have made it larger. So that bit about, so while we keep speaking about experiences, there is also this bit about having a backend integration, about communicating them with the retail partners in time so that they can play a larger part. Their buy-in is much more than it was, and correctly so. And I think they are now more amenable for these larger events.
Great points, Rahul, Aditya?
So brand participation is very challenging across all the malls, because when they need us, they come to us. When we need them, they don't come to us. It's a very tricky situation. But at the same time, we are working with them. They are working with us. So we keep doing the activity with them. Like you said by Nishank, each brand has their own apprehension and reservation of the genre of the events. Could be one will say the concert doesn't work, event doesn't work, judge doesn't work, they don't spend. At the same time, few brand will say, no, this is only working for us. So being a mall personals, we need to ensure each and every category of the brand work or on a holistic way, get success. And yeah, we closely work with them. Recently, whenever there's a launch plan of the mall of the brand, or could be the EOSS, could be the any activity which is complementing their IPs. Example, very very rare, very recent example. For the summer festival, I worked with PVR, Time Zone, LED, so that they bring their content to the mall, so that they get the good revenue share on the top line, and then both we can both complement each other and both can rock.
That's a good example, Rahul. Do you think they are willing to pay for these experience events, or is it more of a gentleman's agreement in terms
Rightly said by Nishank. From last 3 years, I was setting this piece of content to the brand. I'll not name the brand as of now, but luckily I got a chance to meet the topmost leadership team of the brand, and somehow I got able to convince them, and then they came on board. They said, "Rahul, you never told me about this." That's okay. Now I'm telling you, do this. They've done it. Now I've signed the contract with them for next 3 years.
Okay.
So
Nice.
this is basically when you taste the success, you want to repeat it. So it's a chicken and egg story. As always, yeah.
We are the chicken, we are the egg.
Both.
Right. No, so in my opinion, I think it all boils down to the mindset of every brand, right? So let's just say malls, for example, right? Everyone works with a different mindset, whether it's consumer engagement, whether it's something else. I think within brands also, right, the mindset plays an important role. I've noticed in my experience with some brands, it's purely transactional. Right, everything is transactional. What am I going to get out of this, and what is this thing? Can you give me a forecast? Can you give me this? Can you give me that? There are some brands, however, who focus on engagement to say that, listen, you know what, if we engage with the consumer or our audience in a certain way, right, how do I build this into a bigger or a larger idea going forward? Now, we could call this an IP, we could call this something else, but mindset, I think, from the brand's perspective is important. And taking again a cue from what Nishank said earlier, right, I've also noticed that whenever you're engaging with the local teams present at the store in that region, right, their mindset is completely different from how their HO functions.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's just say the HO is the ideation or the strategic hub for that brand, right? They're not even aware in half the cases saying, "Arey, ye to humne hamare page pe kal dekha." We weren't even aware of it. So I think that education becomes important. Maybe the HO teams need to connect with each other, but to say that, listen, you know what, let's keep that team separate for now. That can maybe focus on the execution details. But how do you sort of ideate and put things together, right? So that there are no surprises at the end of the day, because the objective and the intent is the same for both.
That's
so I think how do you ensure, even in terms of more than using the word participation, right? How do you sort of collaborate together where it becomes a win-win for both? And I also think, taking a further cue on the mindset, right, I think brands need to stop prioritizing high street and standalone stores over malls. So I've noticed there are some stores, let's just say in Bombay, right, they have a massive 2-story or 3-storied in a linking road, Bandra, right? Understand the targets are 2-3 times more, there's more pressure, right? There, what happens in terms of their budgets, right, are more focused and aligned towards that versus their existence at any of our malls.
But he's saying that all the star visits happen over there. Bol de.
Yeah, I mean, so the priority by their teams also is given to that. So we've got to be very strategic in understanding really who's going to come forward and collaborate. Otherwise, it's impossible to go to a mall which has 300 brands to say, listen, I'm going to go to all 300 and ask them if they're interested or not. It's tough.
Yeah.
So the mindset, I think, is key. Is the key.
No, I agree. I think what Nishank is doing is with these CAM meetings and like even I find a disconnect between the city team and the HO team, because the HO team has access, budgets and mindsets which we generally don't get. We don't get access to sometimes. It's only during.
We don't get access to, and that exactly, Amrit. It's not that the mall team themselves don't know कि ये उधर HO पे हो रहा है. So it's not that they don't want to do it or they want to do it. It's that उनको पता ही नहीं है. And I think one bit about the experiences for us to complete the circle via communication, get to them, say that listen, we're doing it, why not be part of those experiences.
But there's always a I feel there's a like when I was on the brand side, honestly, when I was with Adidas, if one mall in Saket came to me and said we want to do this activity, the share of my it
Which
just
one?
wouldn't. Don't focus on that. Focus on the. If mall came over and said that, listen, I want to do this big activity. Get Virat Kohli to our mall. In my mind, that's one store out of a network of 300 stores.
Exactly.
Why would I give so much of attention and thing over there? I'm trying to do a national campaign.
Totally.
Right?
I think which is why. Continue.
So the priorities are different. You rightly said you have in a store pan India. You are traveling across length and breadth of the country, and you say all the once upon a time you got a call from one of the mall guys saying let's do something. You always say okay, let's do something, and that do something will become do something only. So it's priority basically. And when you suffer, example, your store at particular mall is not doing great, and you have pressure, then you approach to the mall, and then you can do like whatever you want to do. And then probably at that point of time, the mall might not have an interest level high because the space is not there, the budget is not there, the mindset is not there, and could be vice versa. Yeah. So it's a priority game, and then when both priority get matched, aligned together at a particular time, magic happen.
Yeah, agree. Cool. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on to something which I think we talked about when we discussed it earlier, which is, one size doesn't fit all. We are all metro markets and metro boys, but there are amazing malls that are coming up in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And I'll share a fact with you. JLL says that the next 2 years, 40 to 45% of new mall developments will take place in tier 2 and 3, where there's amazing aspiration and amazing demand for premium shopping.
50% of Nexus malls are in tier 2.
Great. So I think then you should kick things off by, in your mind, how does the experience game differ in a metro versus a smaller town? Does it differ? If it does, how does it differ, and how do you approach both these markets?
So the expectations are the same, right? Thanks to your OTTs and your Instas and all of that, they want immersive rooms, they want all of that. However, because you don't have budgets, that's our side of things. That we don't have enough budgets, the malls might be smaller or the budgets might not be there. That's our problem. But they are culturally very rich. So the kind of experiences that you can offer to them is different than the ones that you would probably do in a tier 1 mall. And I think that's what matters, right? So you would have eventing that you've already done in one of your malls, and because we've got the option of having 7, 8, 9, 10 malls in the larger towns, you can have a rotation system where you finish them and then you go, and it goes to them after a while, and they're pretty happy to do it 6 months later. So there's a mall in Mysore, in Mysore, which has done a full-on gaming fest. But it is also a mall that is where a jackfruit festival happens every year, and lakhs of people come for the 7-day fest. Then in a place like Bhubaneswar, it's so culturally rich that you have experiences like the Rath Yatra happening, and we do it because it opened on Rath Yatra day. So we do the Rath Yatra at Bhubaneswar every year since then, and it is something to be seen, right? Also, there are smaller things like Boita Bandhana, which is it's a very rooted festival over there. So in the tier 2, tier 3, it is not just the size of the experiences, but it is also the relevance of that experience of what you bring to the table over there. So a jackfruit festival ho gaya, you've got gaming fest happening, you've got Durga Pujo, which will now be brought to my malls in the east. All of it is as important, and the experience that one gets during these is as important as the dinosaur coming, as the dragon coming. The immersive might be sometime in the future, but they're looking forward to it because they've already seen it. So they're already awaiting it. Kab aayega. The only difference is that it might come not now, it might come after it does the round in 6, 7 malls, 8 malls. So it becomes easier for me to take it over there, right? I can adjust the cost, but they want it. but you also get the option of having cultural events over there, which is something which you can, it's not that you can't do in tier 1 malls. I just think that the focus on your footfall and your ROIs and people shopping is so much that you don't even get the opportunity to do that, right? I think the opportunity to do cultural events is much more in tier 2, and they work brilliantly, and just the aura that you have around it is beautiful. So the experiential level is the same. The kind of experiences, like I said, the relevance might differ here and there.
Great. Awesome. What about Rahul, Aditya? You guys have tier 2 malls that you believe have a differential lever that you want to talk about?
So, see, we also believe in that, you do cultural activities at the community mall, neighborhood mall, where mall size is smaller in nature, where the people not travel from a long distance to visit to the mall, as opposed to the immediately 3, 4, 5 kilometer cycle come to you for a immediate their shopping needs. There, I believe all marketers should do a community-led event, whether it is Durga Puja, whether it's a Ganesh Utsav in West India. And I believe the mall should not do the activity. We should open in a small religious community, or it could be cultural committee in the region, so that we can have a right cultural positioning, or could be the right fitment, or could be the right taste, or could be the right experience for the community, and by this they will bring their own community to visit to the mall. Example, we do Onam every year. We do Onam Sadhya every year, and every year we are doubling the number. Our communication gets spread in their own community, and then I repeat myself. The subconscious mind will play important role. They keep talking to each other. Oh, next week I'm going to Orion Mall for Onam Sadhya. I'm going for a cultural activity. I'm going for Durga Puja. I'm going Ganesh Utsav. So the more we talk about that particular property, and the trend of people shopping, when they have shopping needs, they come to the mall to quite increase immediately, impromptu.
Okay, lovely. Cool. Aditya?
Yeah. So while Lakeshore is not present in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, but in my previous, experience, in advertising especially, what we sort of realized that tapping into local communities and building a strong emotional connect, right, I think is a very important hook to look at, because the minute you sort of build a strong emotional connect with them, could be a product, could be a service, could be a space, I think that sort of gets gets the larger sort of audiences within that community in. But I think over and above that, from a mall perspective, building local IPs, tapping into schools, be it the societies, housing complexes, etc., will get these local communities together. I think it's a challenge in itself, and should be considered to be very different from how metros would work. And they're very, very clear. We may think that it's tier 2, tier 3, but they when they're emotionally connected to a brand or a service, right, they stick to it. So they're very clear in terms of what they want and need.
But
absolutely.
Just to add, they are expecting all the immersive rooms, and they are expecting all the dinosaurs and dragons and all those
right.
experiences.
Ashwin, also, sorry, Nishank, they're also very aspirational.
We went towards the community building, and which is a given, and all the community building happens, and a lot of events happened with them being a part of it and them conducting it. But the fact is, in tier 2 and tier 3, they're looking forward to have the same scale and size of eventing and experiences that are happening in the taller malls. It's just that we offer them a tad bit late, but they are expecting the same, no doubt about it.
Because the level of aspiration and
also the access, they are seeing what's happening in Dubai. They're seeing what's happening. Instagram is just both Facebook.
Even Deep Pocket's ability to pay is increased.
They just know what's happening, and all their content curators are making
consumption
their reels from places like Dubai, right? So they're just expecting it.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's very established that the expectations are the same for tier 2 and 3. It's a question of how we deploy our resources in those markets, and like you said, if it's a time phase manner, or you rotate, you take things which are come into your malls in the metros, and then you take it into your into tier 2.
That's the advantage you get when you have multiple malls. You do your phasing in a manner that you say you go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you manage the cost over there, and you tell them that, listen, when you go to this one, thoda kam denge, and then that's the way you manage your relationships.
Lovely.
But you have to take them, they are expecting it.
Cool. We've got another 10 minutes to go, but I've seen a couple of questions pop up in the chat. We can take them with about 5 minutes to go. I'll kind of want to also talk about the whole licenses and permissions and the operational challenges around these events. Maybe we can address that, because while we see a lot of the good work and finally it looks great from a PPT and a wrap-up video that we do, but there's a lot of on-ground challenges that lead up to that great event showcase, and we've talked about it. And how big a bottleneck are there? What are the operational challenges in your mind which create this which limits these execution of these events? Just talk about those things, what you've encountered in your roles.
Yeah, probably all the licensing was part of our life. There was nothing big about it, whether it is a local statutory permissions. But of late, we have got the mandate from PPL to take a license for all our gigs. It become very difficult at first to, for example, if you're doing a large scale concert, taking permission is not a biggest thing, because in a bigger gamut, 2 lakh rupees is not a big deal for any of us, because we are spending lakhs of rupees, upper limit 50 lakh rupees for a concert. When it comes to a small gig of, say, a small live band on a cultural activity, where we are spending 2 lakh rupees, spending equal amount of money for the people license will become very difficult for us. So I think we all should go back to the PPL company, say how we can safeguard ourselves to ensure we don't have that big dent in our pocket.
Just think about it, right? Let's just say your PPL license for a day's just music, basic playing on a console, right, is 1.5 lakh, and you're doing 700 events a year, right? So that's criminal. That's there's so much of money that just going down just towards that one area becomes a nightmare. But also in terms of, recently there was this incident that happened at Nesco, which led to a complete ban of alcohol across events happening in Mumbai and Pune, right? So that has impacted a lot of, in fact, it not just impacted local events, it also ended up impacting international artist events that were coming in, where there were 25-30 odd thousand people with no alcohol provisions made because of a licensing issue. So I think it's a thing that should definitely be looked into, but it also depends on within that market that you're looking at curating events, right? What's the kind of contact and the rapport that you share with local authorities? And I think your center management plays a key role. At least in our case, they've been more than supportive in terms of going out there, ensuring permissions, licenses, everything is in place. But as a part of our wish list, I wish it was smoother and faster, especially where I hate the fact that when marketing has to get into it, because you have to curate it, you have to create the idea, get the concept, promote it, put media money on it, and then you don't know one day before the event whether the license is going to come out. So that's another nightmare, right? So so it depends on roles also divided internally on who's looking into what and who's responsible for what.
Yeah. Aditya is killing 3 birds with one stone. Internal salary, ये सब मैं बहुत काम कर रहा हूँ, मुझे permission का चाहिए, मेरे को ये भी चाहिए. Good job, Aditya.
No, but luckily, Nishank, you're at least, the roles are clearly saying, listen, the guys who are getting the idea, someone in the system has to manage to ensure that it happens on ground. So I think
I think, Amrit, you will agree that as the malls keep on getting established over a period of time, the relationships that get established with the malls and the expectations from the government bodies becomes easier to manage, only because when they have confidence that you won't do something wrong. The problem with PPL, etc., is the fact that we don't make money on all of it, and that's why it hurts us. So if we were doing a concert where we're getting almost all of the ticketed money out and we're making a profit, then it makes sense. The problem is that for most of the events that we do, it is footfall or sales, which means that we're not making money out of the music that is being played, and that's why it hurts us a lot more. And therefore, there has to be some justification, there has to be some gradation saying that, listen, this is a commercial activity where they are making money off this, or this is just so that people get entertained and this is only for experience. And I think that is the differentiation that needs to step in at some point, so that it becomes more manageable for us. And that has to be, there's no question about it. As far
I
as the
agree. I
government
agree.
authorities and their systems, I think that you've got malls which have been running for such a long time. Brigade Group, Orion has been running for so many years. I think with Adi, the only thing is Arya is probably a little bit new to the game, but even new, I think they're already 5 years old.
See,
And
all
then
these
you've got newer
conditions
malls
are
coming.
digestible and could be easily we have taken from last so many decades now.
Yeah, so I think that ease comes, and even they understand, and there's a good working relationship. And Adi is completely right. I think when you have teams that work together, and I'm just like Adi, I'm very proud to say that Nexus, all the teams work together, especially the ops guys who help us in getting all these permissions. If it is planned well enough, you get the permissions, right? वो थोड़ा
Right.
ऊपर नीचे होता है, but हो जाता है. The PPL hurts only because we are not making
Yeah.
money out of it. If
Yeah,
you are making
that's
money
true.
out of it, it wouldn't have mattered. But we don't, and I think that's why it hurts.
Guys, we've got another 5 minutes. I'm going to take some questions which have popped up in the chat. Anjeev, is that okay?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So the first question from Neha. Good afternoon, esteemed speakers. Okay, I think she's talking to Nishank. Would like to ask, in the Vrindavan market, what different ways and steps can be taken to pull in retailers to a mall which is positioned as a one of a kind divinity mall? I think because of the cultural thing that you spoke about, Nishank, not because of the esteem thing. What do you think? Uh, what do you think would be your advice to help pull in people into the Vrindavan market? And I'm assuming you're not going to charge any consultancy fees for this question.
I'm not a leasing guy, so I think we can only talk about marketing it. But I think having a divinity mall is something that we've never even heard of. In fact, as mall people, I think all of us will agree that we wean off religion and we always say cultural and spiritual, right? But it is such an interesting concept, and I think what I would do, any city will need consumption. So while you will have a certain section of stores which will be towards divinity related articles, so whether it be idols and stuff like that, I think there is a consumption market in every city, which means all your retailers will have to come in. What changes is that the marketing around it has to be in a manner that it relates to the city, right? Which means that it might be one part modern, but it might be one part which is completely in sync with all the stuff that is happening within the city. So it needs to have the same kind of divinity within the mall. And I'll tell you one thing that our mall in Amritsar does. There is Ardas playing every morning till 12 o'clock, 11:30. Every morning, 1 hour into the opening of the mall. They've done it since the opening, right? There is a langar which is given twice a year. So because there's a golden temple over there and there is a strong affinity for all of that. So I think there is a lot of merit in having your marketing completely in sync with what's happening around in the city. But there's also a merit in leasing not just religious artifacts, but also normal consumption things like footwear and stuff like that, only because after all the city also has to grow. So there has to be a mix, and I think confidently you can do stuff that none of us do, which is get into religion marketing, get into promoting your pujas and this and that, which you can have within the mall, which actually is very difficult for most malls in all our cities to do it.
Okay, great. Good question, Neha. So another
Tough question.
Yeah,
I need consultancy charges for this.
You can send her your UPI ID later. But next question, and I'm going to throw it open to any of you, Aditya or Rahul. How do you see India mapping to its foreign counterparts of bringing larger than life infrastructure within the malls? Example, underwater aquarium, go-karting, interactive fountains, terrace pickleball, underground speakeasy to cater to the new age consumer. I think there's a lack. We're not doing enough for that, right? The Dubai
you guys
malls
can
are
do
fantastic.
it. I think Lakeshore and DLF can do it. You guys are spending billions to make new malls. We are the ones who are retrofitting malls.
No, by the way, even Phoenix, for example, they've launched their own Phoenix Racket Club, right, which is in Goa right next to the mall facility, right? It's obviously an extension. They've got extra land to create and construct, right?
Pickleball and paddle, everybody can do.
It is the But
the other bits, I think, guys like DLF and Lakeshore both, because you guys build malls from scratch. Unlike a Nexus who takes over malls. So the ability for you guys to see potential in building infra is much more. So I leave this answer to both of you all.
No, in fact, I think a lot of, even at a design level right now, we are right now at 6, and the upcoming malls, let's just say, that are going to go live in the next 2 to 3 years, right? The focus at a design level right now is to, create spaces for consumers. And then the conversation starts on how do I sort of create a space for retail, existence. So I think that shift has already happened, and the ones who are not making the shift need to, definitely look at it. So the approach is sort of, even at a design level, structural level, now changing towards that. Like, how do I sort of ensure that I build spaces for communities, and that comes in my entire design outlook right at the start, rather than later on realizing that I have to create a space when the mall's open.
Yeah, that's
Amrit,
right.
what about
And I
you
think
guys?
yeah, it's a lot to do with the developer's ambition and
Quite
at
interesting
the
stuff.
time of
It's a
time
way
of the
to go
design
now.
stage,
It's a way to go
Sorry.
now. Interestingly, last month itself, we are building a mall in Hyderabad. We thought of considering, having the large scale area for the large scale concerts and also the gaming arena where we can have a pickleball, your all the sports which is of interest level of all these HNI customers who have get interest for the gaming sections. So we are evaluating that. Right said by Nishank, it can't be retrofit to the mall, which is already running and have tight spaces. But that was built almost say 5, 7, 10 years back. It's become very difficult to retrofit and make the arena right in the mall, in the existing mall. So it's way to go, whether it is DLF, could be the Phoenix, could be the Lakeshore, and could be us being a Brigade Properties to build a futuristic mall which is ready for the futuristic need.
Yeah. I think, like I said, it depends on the developer's ambition and, the wanting to set something that sets it apart. Like the Dubai malls are great at that. They say, I want to be the world's best, biggest, most this thing, and then they throw money at it, and then they create something like that. So, Anjeev, time for one more question, or are we done?
Just one
please,
thing. Amrit,
try
take
to
out,
cover
please.
the maximum questions possible.
Okay.
We have time.
Amrit, just one thing to add to what Rahul said. It is not futuristic, it is today. Huh?
Yeah.
We're expecting that today. That is all. Nothing else. I mean, sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's at that design stage that it needs to be there. And I sometimes think if I was a developer, I would, wonder about the rent per square feet losses that I'll be incurring, trying to curate a talking point for this thing. But in my mind, over the long term, that probably pays off. Today the ski world at Dubai, at Mall of Emirates, or the Dubai Aquarium has become international landmarks. These are places where people come, travel all the way from abroad to come and see this kind of thing. So then the loss in rent per square feet for those areas is more than made up over a period of time.
100%.
I think it's just about having that long-term vision. Okay, this is a very interesting question. All right, I'm going to read it out. Which is more important, investing in digital marketing or organizing an event at a mall?
One can't happen without the other, brother or sister, who has written it. Communication and experiences go hand in hand. If anybody thinks that you can get away with one just because you're doing the other, you want to do digital marketing, you'll have to speak about something that you're doing at the mall. If you're doing something at the mall, you will need digital marketing to speak about it. So for all those who think you can do one without the other, the rude awakening is you will have to do both.
Yeah, completely agree.
So there's never a choice between one or two.
There is no. I mean, just think about it. Even if you put the best digital marketing plan in place, right, but your on-ground experience is so bad, right? I mean, it's going to be.
It's like you have a very fancy creative communication. And a very best to best model you have picked on the creative. And when you go to the mall to have the experience, it will can fall flat.
Yeah.
So it's way important for us to have a right experience at the mall. At the same time, like I said initially by Nishank, packaging has to be done beautifully.
But you know what, Amrit? I think this is a very smart marketer who wants to take this thing to his CEO. इसके लिए हमारे through बोला है उसने.
Other couple of very smart marketers who are saying that, who are asking about ROI driven, how can we, when budgets are scrutinized monthly, how do you prove the ROI? If you listen to minute number 24, I think we covered that very well. You can see this on Netflix and just go back to that 24th minute.
मेरा Paytm number है ये, please मुझे संपर्क करिए.
But there's an interesting question from Pradeep Rea who says that will doing community-related events or activities in a mall, will it help? Go
Certainly,
ahead, Nishank.
yes. Answer is completely yes. It's a habit forming, Chief. Pradeep, it's a habit forming. The more you do the activity or community led activity, where you have a great connect with the emotionally, personally, and when in India the celebration comes, whether it is any religious activity, we put our heart and soul and efforts and time into the activity. Say, for example, Diwali is around the corner. We again change our mindset and talk about only Diwali season, what to do, what not to do. And in that season, we get to know the mall is doing the activity again emotionally, and we connect to the mall and we go to the mall. We get habitual to this habit form. Again, I repeat my sentence again and again because I keep repeating same thing to my team. Subconscious mind. It has to be there. Otherwise you have to spend lakhs of money in putting money in radio, print ad, digital influencers. Let
Rahul, mere bhai, please don't spoil my marketers and all the person listening. You'll have to spend crores of money any which way.
And we have to
will
organize
say,
another webinar
Amrit,
on subconscious mind. Okay?
let's social
Definitely,
become
The
I
next
my
agenda.
influencer.
Definitely, we will do that.
Photo into your life.
Just take one more question. Then
Okay.
we'll wind up this.
I'm going to take a couple of questions. Okay, I'll do
Yeah,
one
please.
more question.
It's up to you.
So-
Matlab, we have 5 minutes more.
Okay. One question that's coming from Gurjinder is, what are your thoughts on decor IPs in India, like Mall of America, Spring Bees? So, is decor IPs that you look at something
It's
that
happening.
could be
Most
Yeah,
large
it
malls
is.
do it.
Yeah,
Most large malls do it.
right, and it's also sustainable, right? Let's just say that you're playing with so many assets, right, and you're taking the theme across all. But I would also want to add a point here in terms of a slightly different perspective to say that we've got to be very clear with the fact that you're not going to get a new audience in to check the decor part in, right? So it's more from a beautification, adding that aesthetic layer. Anyone saying that you've got to get more foot traffic in because you put something else, right, is in my opinion, it doesn't work that way unless it's accessible, unless it's next to your house or something of that sort and you've got time to go and watch it, see it, right? It works, but it's not a tool through which you get in the newer audience. It's just, to me, it's more of an in-mall engagement. Also considering that the amount of money that gets spent on decor today, let's just say that a mall is massive in size, right? I mean, 50-60 lakhs just goes in creating decor. So then there shouldn't be any questions of ROI. Oh, I spent 60 lakhs. It's a part of this thing. How many people did we? That
Brand
expectation needs to be
Brand building.
really set. Exactly. You need to set expectations to say, listen, I'm doing up the mall. So let's just say I've taken over a mall which is, say, fairly old, right, and I want to do it up. Yeah, a decor may work. But if I'm working with a brand new asset and I want to ensure that I'm going to draw in people in, decor is not going to be the only source that's going to pull them in.
I'll just add to this. Amrit, you had said that we get to don so many hats. I think it's a compulsion. It's an opportunity, but it's also a compulsion. And I think for the person who's asked about decor-led activities or huge decor-led IPs, we'll have to do everything. So you still have to do your community events. You still have to do your digital marketing. You still have to do your IPs. You still have to do your EOSS. You still have to do your Diwali, Christmas. And then you'll have to do this. Not one, and that's the beauty about mall marketing, is that not one thing will define you. Not one thing will define your mall. Across the year, you will have to do something for everybody. When I say everybody, I mean every consumer cohort who comes to your mall, every brand that is there within your mall. And you'll have to match their expectations both from the consumer side as well as for the retail side. And for that, you can't be one thing. So yes, we are privileged, but it's a privilege which is also sword on our head because we will have to do all of that. That is a competition. So and there's time for everything. So footwear, for instance, or sneakers will sell a lot more during marathon. The jeans or denim will sell a lot more during summer. Ethnic will sell a lot more during your Indian wedding season and Diwali. So there is the best part about India is that there's a time to sell everything, and you will have to don every hat in the year, and you'll have to do everything. So and
I agree. I loved Aditya's IP name for mall-led decor. The IP name is called "Don't Ask About ROI." That is the name of it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I mean,
I'm going to copy that, Adi.
On
Our
that
presentation is
note,
going to don't ask about ROI events.
At least on this one, yeah, for sure.
exactly.
That should be
So we're getting
first
a lot
slide.
more questions on the chat, but I don't think we have the time for that. We're all going to. We'll have a charge session next, Anjeev. I think we should have a subscription-only access to these kind
Ajib,
of.
you got your
Another
this thing,
screen.
buddy. You got your time for the next event now.
No, Nishank, we got the right ROI now.
I'll tell you what we can do, guys. If people keep sending their questions, we are happy to answer them. We'll put them somewhere. We can send them. We can put an emailer out later. We can put them out somewhere. We can send it to them one-on-one if they want to put their email IDs. We are happy to answer all the questions you get on an offline basis and send it to you. I'm more than happy to take the time out to do all of that. I don't have a problem.
Amrit, if possible, Rahul Singh has posted a question. Would you like to, in case?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. How important is original
you have
IP
to cover
creation?
it very briefly because time is a constraint here.
Yeah. How important is original IP creation today for malls versus relying on standard seasonal campaigns, similar immersive events and celebrity-driven promotions? I think it's absolutely important. I think all of us are trying to create our own IPs because we believe that really will set us apart in terms of the future to come. And when you do an IP repeatedly year after year or season after season, it really builds consumer love. There's a reason why certain shows have 7 seasons, 8 seasons, 9 seasons, is because you kind of get familiar with the concept, with the value proposition, and you start looking forward to it in a way, and that's where the stickiness comes in. And to steal Rahul's listing of the subconscious, you start putting things into the mind of the consumer by doing an IP repeatedly year after year after year. And I think for me also, I'm very clear that if DLF were to invest in events, then it has to be an IP.
Yeah.
The other thing is every standard event today was a new idea 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We have kept on innovating. So there was no Denim and Sneaker Fest 10 years ago. It is today. There was no some other event. The Wedding Fest that you guys do was not something which was there from 10 years ago. So the fact is that every standard event that you say, whether it's Diwali, Christmas, or any of the IPs that we're currently doing, did not exist 5 years ago. We've added it. We remove the ones that don't work, and then we keep on adding to it. So both is important, that you continue the ones that are doing well and you get new ones in depending on what's relevant to that audience at that point.
Cool.
So, due to time constraint, we won't be able to take more questions. So, with this, we conclude our today's session. The session was really very informative, enlightening, and I hope all my viewers must have enjoyed it. And I am thankful to all my panelists for sparing their precious time for SCAI and sharing their thoughts. With this, we conclude our today's session. Thank you, all my viewers and respectable panelists.